this card is called a half card, which it's pretty obvious why, because that front half is cut in half. It can also be called a Dutch door card, so if you ever looked up something like that, sometimes it's called that. So we're going to decorate this for Mother's Day. I love this card because not only is it pretty colors, but look at all that bling. Isn't that fun? Okay, I'm going to put this aside, and I'm basically just going to follow step by step the written instructions that I gave you. Even though I prepared the card base for you, I just want to show you really quick how to do it if you decide to do it on your own. So the card base is, you know, if you had a full 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock, it's just cut in the middle, which if it's 8.5, it's obviously 4 1/4. You cut down at 2 inches. So you basically put your paper here at the 2-inch mark, use your blade and cut down. Well, not everybody has one of those cutters. You know, tick off where you want it. So let's see, it's marked 2 inches from the top of the card. So, you know, use your pencil, tick off 2 inches. Like I said, this is old school stuff right here, right? Draw yourself a little line. Use your scissors to cut it. Or if you have a craft knife, you know, you can do that, craft knife, or like a razor blade, something like that, just all the way up to the score line. So that's something you can do if you decide to make another one of these cards. All these pieces are already cut for you. So right now we're going to center and adhere the card pattern paper B. And you want to take this piece and then just center it. Now we're going to take the piece that's C, which is this big mat. And again, same thing. If you're using a glue stick, which I'll use this time, you want to make sure you cover everything and make sure all the edges. Now, if you're doing a tape runner or even like a tape, a double-sided tape, I would just do the corners. And then again, you're going to center it, and this time on the back. And again, eyeballing, because that's what I do. And so then next, we're going to center and adhere this to the back of the flap like this. We're going to continue the inside. And we have the Mother's Day sentiment that we're going to mat with this, what do you call that? Carly, like an apricot color? Salmon, it's probably salmon, huh? Yeah. Like a salmon colored cardstock. Same thing, just adhesive. When it's a small piece, I might put a little bit more adhesive just because it's a smaller piece. As always, just center it. Now, before you put it on the inside of your card, now you have to remember, if any of this is showing up here, it's going to show when the card's closed, which we don't want. Now, there may be times where you do want it, but this particular time we don't. So wherever you place it, it needs to be below where your elements are. And you can see here, like, it does exceed the top, but I know those roses are going to cover it, so I'm not too worried about it. Okay, let's start decorating. Oh, shoot. All right. So let's pull our goodies out. Be careful because there's a lot of little rhinestones in here. So let me just talk a little bit about what we got here. So this strip right here, if you open it up, you're going to find 5 glue dots, little glue dots, and that is where your little rhinestones are going to, because they're double-sided. So, oh my gosh, these are small. Put, you know, your rhinestone on one end. Now, I don't know if you can see that, but you see that small rhinestone and how much of that glue dot is still too big? The glue dots are very pliable, but you can just push it so that all that stickiness is going to be underneath the rhinestone, because you really don't want it sticking out. Then you'll just adhere it to the center of that little flower. But before we do that, sorry, I jumped ahead of myself. So I didn't put together one of the flowers, the bigger one. And the reason why I didn't is I wanted to give you a little bit of a hint. you ever work with die cuts, now if you're looking at this blob, you just look at it's a blob, right? So you're like, oh shoot, how does this flower fit in? Now this is what I always do. So I look at the shape that's going to be on top. What's unique, or what's going to stand out for me? What can I look for? So in this case, I'm looking for this really small, or this is me, that I see this small rounded edge, right? So now when I look at the blob, you know, look at these big rounded edges. Oh, there's that small rounded edge, right? So that's how you know where it goes. So why don't we go ahead and put some adhesive on the back of this so we can adhere it to our flower base, and work on putting the rest of the rhinestones on the flowers. So I don't know if you can tell by my finished one, but these two flowers at the end, I have the 3D adhesive on them. So they don't have to be these two. These are just the two that I put on, because I think it's really nice when you get a little bit of dimension. So I think it's always fun, like, to add the rhinestones, to add the dimensional tape, just to give it a little bit of interest. So what I did is, like I said, I decided it to be these two. I didn't put them like straight in a row. You see how some are a little lower, some are a little higher. So if you want to play around with your flowers, and you can do it exactly like it is here. As a matter of fact, I'll leave it right here if you want to get a little bit more creative. But before you do that, or before you put any adhesive on, and this is the reason why I said a pencil is something that you might want to consider for this one, is now you have to remember, when you put the adhesive on these flowers, you only put the adhesive on the part will be adhered to this front flap. So if let's say I'm keeping my flower here, I just want to put a little tick mark in the back, so I know I put my adhesive underneath there. And then when I put my flower on, I'm going to do this, because if you put adhesive up here, you already know what's going to happen. It's going to get stuck to the back of the card. You want mom to open up the card, right? You know, mess around with it. And even if you are following my design, you still might want to just mess around with it a little bit. Leaf placement, you know, do you want it to go all the way across? Do you want it just to settle in the middle? I definitely need to put one of these flowers high enough to cover you see how you can see my sentiment strip right there, or mat. And I already know this little one, because I'm just following my exact card. This little one and this medium one are going to be put on here with the dimensional tape. That fits perfectly. This one is sticking up a little bit, so I'll just put this on the bottom half. So now what's left is this really cute little banner thing. So I don't know, again, if you can tell, but the banner, oh yeah, you can tell that way, I think. The middle section is up a little bit. So that's what these little dimension adhesives are for. So what you're gonna need is to put, I gave you two, I gotta turn it around, turn it over. Can you see? I'm still in view. And then just they're double-sided as well. So put one, you know, like not exactly at the edge, but on the right side, and the one on the left side. But I kind of put it a little bit towards the center so that you're getting a really good coverage. So I don't know if you can see that, but you know, something like that. So these little tails of the banner, you want to play with them. So what it is the little notch is what's going to be facing up. Just under that. And I put that leaf a little too low, but that's okay. But see how cute that looks? And the same thing with this one. That little pointy edge is going to be pointing up. See that? Now, those are going to be flat on your card. So once you know where you're going to put it, just turn it over, put some adhesive. And what I don't want to forget, and I always want people to do, is when you're all done, make sure you turn it to the back and either write your name, put your initial, maybe even put the date. So that's it for the card. Now, what I wanted to tell you about this card, now remember this card, you got this kit as well, so you're going to be able to make this one on your own. This time I decided to put the sentiment on the outside, but again, it's up to you. You can definitely put it down here, you can put it up here, depending on what you want to do. So this is the way I showed the card. And the other thing that I included was this border punch of the birthday hat and presents. So what I recommend before you put this pattern paper down is to put this border strip on, and just so you can kind of cover up that edge. So you're going to get it like that. So just adhere, just put your adhesive on the bottom half of that. Adhere that down to where the presents and hat are just popping up over the edge. You see that? That's so cute. And then what I also included on here is I didn't completely finish the cupcakes, because if you notice on mine, I popped up one of them, which you'll get the adhesive for that. But if you decided to do them flat, or whichever order you wanted, so that's why I kept them separated. I hope you decide to join me again next month. All right, guys, I'm gonna log off. See you guys. Bye.